The 1990s gave us soaring voices, velvet harmonies, and dreams carved into rhythm and blues. But behind the music we slow danced to, behind the videos we watched on late-night TV were lives filled with heartbreak, pressure, and unspoken pain. Tonight, we remember the ones who shined so bright, only to fade too soon. Let's begin. Number 15, H-Town. A love letter lost in tragedy. H-Town came storming out of Houston in 1993 with that unmistakable slow grind anthem, Knockin' the Boots. They weren't just another R&B group, they defined bedroom music for a generation. Signed to Luke Records, they brought southern swagger, silky harmonies, and a rawness that cut straight to the heart.
All things you emotions, yeah.
But just when the world expected them to rise even higher, tragedy struck. In 2003, lead vocalist Dean O'Connor was killed in a car accident when a speeding Nissan SUV ran a red light, only 28 years old. Just hours before, he had been rehearsing for the group's comeback, hoping to reclaim the spotlight they once owned. The shock rippled through R&B. Fans remember the moment they heard the news, the disbelief, the silence, the way the song suddenly hit different. You could feel the loss all over again every time a slow jam came on the radio. Today, H-Town's legacy lives in every R&B singer who aims to fuse sensuality with sincerity.
Tick-tock, you better watch the clock, 'cause I'm getting ready to ride my...
Knockin' the Boots still fills quiet rooms, still brings memories of love, youth, and nights that felt endless. If that felt heavy, the next story hits just as hard, but in a totally different way. One of charts, fame, and the emotional cost of being everywhere all at once. Number 14, Shai. Harmony that couldn't hold the weight.
Knew right then you were the one.
Shai burst onto the scene in 1992 with a sound that felt angelic. If I Ever Fall in Love wasn't just a song, it was a moment. A cappella harmonies floating through school hallways, slow dance gym floors, cassette tapes rewound to hear that opening note again. They formed at Howard University, just 4 young men with voices that blended like silk and sunlight.
Eyes, your lips said hello and I said hi.
But success came fast, too fast. Their debut single went triple platinum. Their faces were on every TV countdown. And suddenly, the expectation was, do it again. But the industry changed quickly. New Jack Swing was fading, hip-hop was rising, and labels were pushing R&B groups to chase sounds that didn't match their hearts. Behind the scenes, internal tensions brewed. Creative control slipped. Pressure mounted. By the mid-90s, Shai found themselves fading from radio rotation, not because the talent left, but because the machine moved on. The tragedy here wasn't loss of life, it was loss of space. A group built on vulnerability, forced to compete in an era turning louder, harder, more commercial by the day. Their music remains a reminder of when harmonies mattered, when a love song could be gentle, hopeful, pure. And if you ever hear that opening hum again, you'll feel it. The innocence of the early 90s. The softness we didn't realize we'd miss. If this was the quiet heartbreak of slipping from the spotlight, the next story is about a star who flew, only to break under the weight of being too bright, too soon. Number 13, Soul for Real. Childhood fame, adult consequences. When Soul for Real dropped the Candy Rain in 1994, it felt like pure sweetness poured right into the era. 4 brothers from New York, Brian, Andre, Christopher, and Jason Dalrymple, singing like angels over warm, bouncy R&B production. Their sound was joyful, youthful, and wrapped in that classic Uptown Records magic. Heavy D helped shape their identity, guiding them into a space where harmonies and innocence could shine.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and there's house to sing.
But early fame is a fragile thing. These were kids. Teenagers suddenly catapulted onto national stages, touring non-stop, balancing schoolwork with photo shoots, interviews, and the exhausting pressure to keep being perfect. As the industry shifted and labels chased harder, club-driven sounds, soul for real, struggled to maintain their place. Their youthful image, once their strength, became a cage. Then came the darker chapter. Years later, in the 2010s, group member Brian "Breachy" Dalrymple was arrested and charged in connection with identity theft and fraud schemes. Headlines fixated on it, overshadowing their legacy, their brotherhood, their music. Fans who grew up slow dancing to Every Little Thing I Do watched in disbelief. How did a story that began in studio lights end in mugshots and legal battles? The tragedy here isn't just the legal trouble. It's the pressure that starts when the spotlight fades. The confusion of going from sold-out crowds to silence, from being adored to being forgotten. Many child stars never learn how to exist outside applause, and the world doesn't teach them. Yet, their songs still bring back that warm, dreamy glow of the mid-90s. Summer cookouts, school crushes, mixtapes made with shaky hands. The music outlives the heartbreak. If that story was about innocence lost, the next one is about a superstar who had the world begging for more, until the industry took too much too fast. Number 12, Phyllis Hyman. The voice. Too heavy for this world. Phyllis Hyman wasn't just a singer. She was a presence. Statuesque, elegant, and gifted with a contralto voice that felt like velvet dipped in sorrow. Though she rose to prominence in the late 70s and 80s, her sound and influence shaped the emotional core of early 90s R&B. Songs like Living All Alone and Old Friend held truth. The kind of truth you only feel late at night when the city is quiet and you're face to face with your own heart. But behind that breathtaking poise was a lifelong battle with depression, loneliness, and an industry that demanded she be someone she couldn't be. Labels pushed her to chase radio trends. Executives criticized her weight, her look, her sound. And she was tired. Tired of pretending that fame felt enough to fill the silence inside. On June 30th, 1995, just hours before a scheduled performance, Phyllis took her own life. She left a note, gentle and final. I'm tired. I'm tired. Her passing sent shockwaves through the music world. For so many fans, it was like losing a confidant, someone who understood heartbreak in its deepest form. But here's the legacy. Every soulful R&B singer who lets a note linger, every performer unafraid to show vulnerability, every lyric that dares to tell the truth about pain, they carry Phyllis with them. If this was the story of a voice heavy with sorrow, the next one is about a group whose sound was all joy and energy, until life pulled them apart in silence. Number 11, Brownstone. The talent was there. The timing was cruel. Brownstone arrived in 1994 sounding like strength. Their voices were powerful, textured, grown woman rich. No bubblegum, no fluff. Their breakout hit, If You Love Me became an instant classic, the kind of song you feel in your chest. The harmonies were sharp, the delivery confident, and the message clear. Love me right or don't love me at all.
I don't wanna rain on this parade.
Signed to Michael Jackson's MJJ music label, Brownstone seemed unstoppable. Critics praised them, BET and MTV kept them in rotation, and everybody believed they were on the path to R&B greatness. But behind the scenes, life moved harder than the music. Member changes disrupted their momentum. Stress, illness, and personal battles caused the original lineup to shift just as the industry demanded consistency. Then came tragedy. In 2015, lead vocalist Charmaine Maxie Maxwell died after a freak accident at home. A fall, a wound that turned fatal. She was only 46. Fans were stunned, not just by the loss itself, but by how quietly the world seemed to acknowledge it. Artists who once topped charts can disappear from public conversation far faster than they ever rose. The heartbreak is this: Brownstone had it. The sound, the soul, the narrative. They deserved a legacy as large as In Vogue, SWV, or X-Escape. And while true R&B lovers still speak their names with reverence, many new listeners have no idea they're missing one of the most powerful vocal groups of the decade.
This is a song we wrote about a year after we wrote that song Bad Obsession you heard.
But play If You Love Me today, and you'll see this music hasn't aged one bit. The message still hits. The harmonies still soar. The strength is still there, waiting to be remembered. If that one left your chest a little heavier, brace yourself. The next story is a rise so explosive and a fall so sudden, you almost won't believe how fast everything changed. Number 10, Zhané, The Groove That Slipped Through the Cracks. Zhané came into the mid-90s like a warm breeze sliding across a summer block party. When Hey Mr. DJ hit the airwaves in 1993, it felt like everybody smiled at once. Renee Neuville and Jean Norris Baylor brought a smooth, neo-soul sophistication before neo-soul even had a name. Their harmonies were effortless, their style was cool without trying, and their presence was a breath of calm confidence in an era full of flash. They were signed under Queen Latifah's flavor unit, surrounded by talent and poised for longevity. Their follow-ups, like Groove Thang and Sending My Love, weren't just songs, they were moments. Music for rooftop sunsets, mall food court friendships, and first crushes who made your heart feel light. Zhané didn't chase trends, they floated. But the tragedy here wasn't scandal or chaos, it was something quieter, something that often takes down the most gifted artists: the business. Contract disputes, label politics, conflicts over direction and ownership. The kind of behind-the-scenes battles fans never see, but that drain the joy right out of creation.
Well, it's a group thing, it's got a funky sway.
By the late 90s, the duo dissolved, not because the talent faded, but because the industry demanded compromise they weren't willing to make. And here's the part many don't know. Both women continued making music, just not under the bright spotlights. John became deeply rooted in gospel, lending her voice to timeless worship recordings. Renee evolved in jazz and experimental soul scenes, her artistry still pure and luminous. Zhané didn't fall. They walked away, rather than let the industry reshape what made them magic. Yet every time Hey Mr. DJ comes on at a cookout, a reunion, or a quiet night drive, you feel it. That joy, that ease, that reminder that some vibes are just forever. If that story was about stepping back, the next one is about being pushed out by fame, pressure, and heartbreak that played out in front of millions. Number 9, Maya. Stardom without a safety net. Maya was everywhere at the end of the 90s. Smooth vocals, effortless dance ability, and a presence that felt gentle yet magnetic. Songs like It's All About Me, Fallin', and Best of Me had her positioned to be one of the defining R&B princesses of her era. She shared stages with icons, collaborated with legends, and held her own every single time. But the music industry is not always kind to women who don't break loudly.
I got you.
Maya wasn't scandalous. She wasn't dramatic. She wasn't messy. And in an era that rewarded chaos and controversy, she got overshadowed not by lack of talent, but by marketing budgets and politics. Labels redirected resources toward other artists. Promotion faded. Opportunities dried up. Not because she couldn't deliver, but because she wouldn't play the game at the cost of herself.
Tell me, am I your type?
Then came rumors, constant, ugly, persistent rumors. Industry gossip that tried to define her more than her music. The tragedy wasn't scandal, it was silence. Watching a woman with all the tools be quietly phased out by the same machine that once placed her at center stage. But here's the truth most casual fans don't know. Maya Ninja never stopped. She released independent albums, toured internationally, won a Grammy for her independent work, built her own label, and took back ownership of her music.
Me, like every water boy I need thee, and when I'm in your arms I feel.
Her story is tragic only if you measure legacy by chart placements. If you measure it by resilience, artistry, longevity, and peace, Maya is one of the strongest survivors of the 90s R&B era. If this story was about quiet endurance, the next one is about a storm of talent, fame, love, and heartbreak. An artist whose voice was unforgettable, even as the world pulled her apart. Number 8, Total. The sound of Bad Boy. Glam with a cost behind the gloss. Total was the cool girl soundtrack of mid-90s R&B. Keisha, Kima, and Pam had that laid-back, don't-need-to-try confidence. Their voices blended perfectly over those rugged bad boy beats. Can't You See, Kissing You, and Trippin'. These records were everywhere. They weren't flashy vocal showboats. They were vibe architects. They made feelings feel fly. But being part of Bad Boy in the 90s came with pressure, chaos, and a pace that chewed artists up.
Joy boy, that's why I'm dreaming of you. I wanna kiss you.
Endless touring, image expectations, internal tensions, and label politics began to weigh heavier than the music. And while Puffy shaped their sound, it also meant their identity was never fully in their control. Pam, the spiritual heart of the group, felt the weight strongest. The industry atmosphere clashed with her growing faith, and she withdrew. Rumors swirled, fans speculated. The truth was simpler and sadder. The machine was too loud, and Pam needed peace.
If I love you, am I crazy for?
By the early 2000s, Total faded. Not because the talent disappeared, but because no one survives that kind of grind unchanged. Their music, though, remains etched into the emotional memory of the 90s. Summers that felt endless, crushes that felt cosmic. The first time love felt too big to handle. Play a Total track today, and your mind goes right back to jean jackets, cherry lip gloss, and quiet hallway glances that meant everything. If these stories are bringing back memories or uncovering things you never knew, tap that like button to help keep these legends remembered. Your support makes sure their stories are never lost. And stay with me. The next 7 stories cut even deeper. Number 7, Adina Howard. Too bold for a world that wanted control.
1995 is when I said it was okay to be who you wanted to be.
Adina Howard came out in 1995 like a lightning strike. Freak Like Me wasn't just a song, it was a statement. A declaration of feminine ownership, sexual agency, and raw confidence in an era that still wanted its R&B women soft, polite, and quiet. Adina refused all of that. She was bold, she was fierce, she was unapologetically herself.
I'm not about to pay nobody's way, 'cause it's all about.
But the industry didn't take kindly to a black woman who didn't know her place. When Adina publicly clashed with record executives and even R&B royalty, she was swiftly and ruthlessly pushed aside. Projects delayed, albums shelved, tours canceled, not because she lacked talent, but because she didn't bow. The tragedy here isn't scandal, it's punishment for authenticity.
All through the night to the early morn.
Adina was ahead of her time. Years before the mainstream embraced Megan Thee Stallion, Rihanna, or Doja Cat's autonomy. Adina lived it, and she paid the price. She eventually rebuilt her life on her own terms, chef, author, independent musician. No longer chasing an industry that wanted to silence her spirit. But when Freak Like Me drops at a party, the room still shifts. People still shout the words. That song is timeless, feminine thunder. She didn't fade, she was blocked, and still, she remains unforgettable. If that was a story of power punished, the next one is a story of brilliance, that fame simply came too fast, and the heartbreak that followed. Number 6, Tevin Campbell, the prodigy who grew up without protection. Tevin Campbell was the voice of pure innocence in early 90s R&B. When Can We Talk dropped in 1993, he was just a teenager with a tone so smooth, so effortless, it felt touched by something divine. Mentored by Quincy Jones, supported by Prince, celebrated by Babyface, Tevin wasn't just talented, he was chosen. But that's where the tragedy begins. The industry didn't know how to let a gifted black boy grow. When Tevin's voice matured and he shifted from child star to young man, the world didn't shift with him. The support faded. The marketing slowed. The narrative turned cruel. Rumors and invasive speculation overshadowed the music. Instead of protecting him, the industry watched him take the hits. Alone. This wasn't a downfall of scandal or failure. It was abandonment.
Right now on the stage, my main man, he's rocking the stage with his soul.
Yet Tevin survived. He stepped back, healed privately, found joy in himself, not in applause. And when he re-emerged years later, embraced by a new wave of fans who recognized his brilliance, you could feel it. The world had finally matured enough to love him right. Today, whenever the opening notes of Can We Talk come on, the room changes.
Call me up, and I came to see.
People smile, they sing. They remember being young and hopeful and tender. Tevin's tragedy was isolation. His legacy is resilience. And trust me, the stories only get deeper from here. What's waiting near the top of this list will stay with you long after the video ends. Number 5, Changing Faces. A duo caught in the crossfire of power, Changing Faces stepped into the mid-90s R&B scene with a kind of grown, sleek smoothness. Cassandra Lucas and Charisse Rose weren't chasing flash. They were delivering mature, quiet storm energy with songs like Stroke You Up, Ghettout, and Foolin' Around. Their voices were warm, controlled, intimate. The kind of music that played in the car on late-night drives when the city lights blurred a little.
Video Music Box live from Fat Fashion, Changing Faces.
But behind those velvet harmonies was a storm. Their rise was heavily tied to R. Kelly, who wrote and produced several of their breakout hits. At first, the partnership looked like a blessing, but as allegations, tensions, and control issues swelled around him, Changing Faces found themselves pulled into the shadow of an industry giant whose presence could lift careers or bury them. Their internal dynamic shifted too. Fame has a way of stretching the space between two people, different visions, different pressures, different paths. And the industry didn't wait for either to adjust. By the early 2000s, opportunities thinned. The association that once made labels excited now made them nervous. And the tragedy is this: Changing Faces were talented enough to stand on their own, but they were never given the room to prove it free of the shadows around them. Yet, listen now. Ghettout still hits like a declaration of strength, a woman refusing to be controlled, a voice claiming its worth. In a way, that became their story too. If that chapter was about being overshadowed, the next is about a star whose talent could have made her eternal. If only the world had offered her time to bloom. Number 4, Aaliyah. The angel the world wasn't ready to lose. Aaliyah was more than a trend, more than a sound. She was a feeling, soft-spoken, graceful, mysterious, and deeply self-possessed, even as a teenager. When Age Ain't Nothing But a Number dropped in 1994, the world didn't just hear her, they leaned in. Her voice floated, her style redefined cool, and her presence was magnetic in a way that couldn't be taught. But from the beginning, her story carried shadows. The music industry protected the brand of Aaliyah while failing to protect the girl. The early headlines, the rumors, the predatory behavior she was exposed to. This was trauma the world largely ignored, packaged behind sunglasses and silky vocals. Even so, she rose. She rebuilt. She became stronger than her circumstances. By the time she released One in a Million and later Try Again, she had matured into an icon, pushing R&B into futuristic, airy, digital space years before the rest of the genre caught up. She was acting, modeling, dancing, leading. Her career was becoming limitless. And then, just as she reached the height of her creative power, tragedy struck. On August 25, 2001, after filming the music video for Rock the Boat in the Bahamas, the plane carrying Aaliyah crashed shortly after takeoff. She was only 22. The shock was global. The grief still lingers. For many, it was the first time music ever felt like losing someone we knew. Her absence is a silence that never quite goes away. Her influence is everywhere. Tinashe, Normani, Ciara, SZA, and every whisper-smooth vocalist who lets the rhythm breathe owes something to her. Aaliyah didn't fade. She ascended and remains woven into R&B's DNA. If that loss felt heavy, the next story is about a group whose tragedy unfolded slowly. Heartbreak piled on heartbreak until the music could no longer hold the weight. Number 3, SWV. Fame so loud it drowned out the sisterhood.
Sometimes it's soft as a misty rain.
SWV, Sisters with Voices, had one of the most unstoppable runs of the 90s. Right Here, Weak, Rain, I'm So Into You. Their catalog wasn't just successful, it was formational. Coco's razor-sharp lead, Taj's grounding warmth, Lili's smoky edge. Their harmonies were unmistakable. They were the soundtrack of young love, heartbreak, and late-night confession. But behind the stage lights, their journey was far from smooth. The whirlwind of fame hit fast, touring non-stop, label expectations, public comparisons, voices being pitted against one another. The world praised their unity while behind the scenes, stress carved cracks between the members. Coco struggled deeply with anxiety and resentment toward fame. Taj worked to hold everything together while facing her own hardships. Lili dealt with depression and financial strain once the spotlight dimmed.
I'm caught in a storm that
When the R&B girl group era shifted, SWV didn't fall gracefully. They fell hard. Their label dropped them. Money dried up. Careers stalled. For a time, the group wasn't just broken. They weren't speaking. And the tragedy wasn't a headline scandal. It was 3 black women trying to hold on to themselves while the world only cared about their voices. But here's the part that still matters. They found their way back. Years later, they reconciled, not perfectly, not in a fairy tale way, but in the real, grown woman way. With therapy, honesty, boundaries. Their story is not just about pain. It's about surviving the music industry and choosing each other again. When Weak plays today, it still brings people straight to the softest corners of their hearts. SWV didn't just make hits, they made memories. If reunions and healing define this chapter, the next one is about a fall so public and so heartbreaking that it changed how the world viewed R&B stardom forever. Number 2, TLC, the group that had everything except peace. TLC was the sound of the 90s. Left Eye's fire, T-Boz's smoky calm, Chili's warm sweetness. They didn't just harmonize, they balanced each other. Creep, Waterfalls, No Scrubs, Red Light Special. Their music shaped childhoods, shaped culture, shaped identity. They were bold, black, creative, fearless. Their fashion was revolutionary. Their messaging was empowering. They were on top of the world. So how does the best-selling girl group of the decade end up broke? The answer is one of the darkest truths about the music industry. Success doesn't mean ownership. Their contract left them with worldwide fame, but pennies in their pockets. They were performing at sold-out arenas and going home to nothing. The world celebrated them, but the machine controlled them. And the pressure didn't just hurt their finances, it hurt their hearts. Lisa Left Eye Lopes struggled with identity, spiritual unrest, guilt, and loneliness. Her fire, the same fire that made TLC electric, often left her feeling misunderstood. She searched for meaning, healing, purpose, far beyond the stage. On April 25, 2002, while on a spiritual retreat in Honduras, Left Eye died in a car accident. She was only 30. The world didn't just lose a rapper. We lost a visionary, a voice who questioned everything, a woman who burned bright, maybe too bright for the world to hold. TLC continued, carrying her memory in every note, but the music never felt the same. How could it? Their story is glitter and grief, gold records and empty rooms, love and longing all at once.
Your mind with intentions to turn you out. Can't forget to focus on the picture in front of me.
And now, We've reached the final story, the one that doesn't just break hearts, it exposes the cost of 1990s R&B stardom more clearly than any other. Take a breath, because number one is a name that still echoes like a prayer. Number one, Whitney Houston, the voice the world claimed but could not carry.
This next song is just a requirement. You know, it's all about.
Whitney Houston was the standard. Not just in the 90s, not just in R&B and music. Her voice had a purity that felt heaven-sent. Notes that seemed to float from somewhere beyond anything earthly. When she sang, it wasn't performance. It was testimony. The world met her in the 80s, but the 90s belonged to her.
And
The Bodyguard. I Will Always Love You. I Have Nothing. Her voice was everywhere. Weddings, breakups, movies, radios, living rooms, grocery stores. She wasn't just famous. She was beloved. But what we loved, the industry consumed. Whitney spent her entire adult life being marketed, managed, projected upon. Every magazine measured her body. Every interview dissected her marriage. Every rumor became a headline. The world claimed her voice, but denied her humanity. Behind the glamour was a woman carrying immense pressure. Expectations to be perfect. A marriage that turned turbulent. A family depending on her. A spotlight that never dimmed. Add to that, a world eager to watch a black woman's fall more than her rise. She turned to escape, to numbness, to any quiet space where the voice didn't have to perform. On February 11, 2012, Whitney Houston died in a hotel bathroom in Los Angeles. When the news broke, the world didn't just mourn a singer. We mourned a light. The tragedy is not simply her passing. It's that a voice we all claimed was never given time to rest. Whitney didn't fail. The world failed her, and yet, her legacy remains eternal. Every singer who closes their eyes when they reach for a high note is touching Whitney's sky. These stories remind us that behind the music we danced to, laughed to, cried to, were real people carrying dreams, pressure, love, and pain. Thank you for honoring them with your time, your memory, your heart. If you felt something tonight, subscribe to keep the soul alive and never miss our next journey. Up next, 15 most hated R&B bands of the 1990s. Click the video on screen, and let's keep the music playing.